Hello, everyone. This is my first time ever going live on this channel. So, this will be fun. I thought it would be easier for me to go live than it would be to do a pre recorded video, which is why I haven't uploaded a video in a while. But I'll do an update. I just want to get into this because I don't think it's going to take that long. But I want to try a book club. And one of the first books that I ever read when I started my business and I often go back to is the E Myth Revisited. And it is called Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. It's by Michael E. Gerber, the world's #1 small business guru. And the reason why I love this book is no matter the season of business you're in, even if you're not in business, if you're someone working for a large team, you're ahead of a huge project, this would be perfect for you because I can't express it. It's loved, and I don't even think I've been in business so long. I've been in business for about 8 years. I work with doctoral students to finish what is called a dissertation. Think about a dissertation as you have to go talk to, let's say you have to talk to 15 people and talk to each of them for an hour. You're going to take all that information they told you, distill it down into about 3 or 5 main points, and then you're going to write a 300-page book on those 3 to 5 main points. So I help people do that entire process in 12 months or less, which, yes, is a lot, but that's why I'm good at what I do. And I come back to this book every so often because as I learn and grow, I'm ready to receive different nuggets from this book. So I thought it would be fun for us to do this together and read through it together. So you can get your copy wherever you frequent to buy books. But I'm just going to take this about like 2 or 3 chapters at a time and do videos. And so I just would love it if we can have a discussion underneath. But I titled this, what did I title this? #1 thing that's probably like holding you back from growing your business. The #1 thing that comes from the first 3 chapters of this book is recognizing that you as a person, you who started the business, you who's thinking about the business, that you need to think about yourself as 3 different entities in one. Like you need to think about yourself as 3 different people in one. I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous, but he uses like a weight loss example in here. But I'll just use a business. So most likely, if you're like me, how I was back in 2013, 2014, 2015, I just wanted to, I was like, I was hearing about this thing, online coaching and online business. I knew that I was born to do it. And I was just so excited. Well, then I finally got the nerve to put myself out there. I got my first client in 2016, I believe, 2015, 2016. And I remember being like, "What? You're gonna trust me for $100? You are going to trust me to help you launch your book?" Because that was my very, 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 very first client, was that I was helping her to launch her book that she self-published. And I put together this whole like runway of things that was gonna lead to this big book launch. And at first, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing. It's gonna be so good. I've been learning so much stuff on the internet. I'm gonna be able to put it to good use." And so then we started meeting, we started doing the work, going back and forth. And as we started to get into it and her resistance, I wasn't prepared for her resistance. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I was not prepared for her to push back on me, to be like, "Why are we doing this? I'm not doing this." And because I didn't have any experience, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to, like, I knew that what I was telling her to do was going to work, but I had no experience in this context of a business context of like helping her to process through why she didn't want to do it and helping her to see that what I was instructing her to do was going to ultimately help her get to her goal faster. And so that was probably the first time that I had a like a oh shit moment, like, am I really supposed to be doing this? And the deeper that I got into that project, the more that I was like, I'm in over my head. Plus, I'm trying to write a dissertation and finish a doctoral program. I shouldn't even be doing this. And I have my own job. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. But getting to the end of that project showed me that I had what it took to get into business and that, yeah, like I am successful. Like, this is something. I wish I had this book then, but I didn't. So, right, I started that, but the oh shit moment is where most people will pick up this book. So maybe your oh shit moment isn't your first client. Maybe you've been in business for a while and it just feels exhausting, especially these days. I have a lot of clients telling me that they feel like overworked, they feel burnt out, they don't know why they're doing this anymore, they don't understand what the point is. And within the first 3 chapters, within the first chapter, really, he tells you why. And it's because we don't recognize that we're three different people, but instead we think, oh, because I know how to do this thing very well, I'm going to create a business around it. And so we think that we're creating a business, something that's going to give us freedom, that's going to lead to happiness, that's going to pay us in less time. That's what we think we're building. But really, most people are building a job for themselves. You're just your own boss, but you still have a job that you are giving 50, 60, 70, a lot of times 90 hours into because you don't have an organization to help you. Most of us do not realize that we didn't create a business. We just traded one job for another one. And a job that don't even pay that well because entrepreneurship, especially in the beginning, it don't pay that well for the amount of hours and effort you're putting into. It does not pay that well. So I really like this book because it breaks it down. Okay, I'm going to tell you some of my favorite quotes um, that I got from this. So on page 13, the fatal assumption is if you understand the technical work of a business, you understand a business that does that technical work. So, said another way, because I am someone who finished their dissertation, like who did the entire thing in 2 months and who had an award winning dissertation, someone who got a lot of praise around their dissertation because I was able to do the impossible. I then thought like, well, of course, it'll be a cakewalk to have a business helping other people do it. Right. But me doing it is one thing, me helping another person do it. And so, what this quote is saying is the fatal assumption that most entrepreneurs have is that they think because they understand how to do the work, then that means that they know how to run a business. I know how to do research and write a dissertation, and that means I can run a business. But me doing the research and writing a dissertation is a completely different skill set than me running a business, helping other people to finish their dissertations. One requires a skill set around research and writing and organization. Another is still organization, but it requires business acumen. It requires how to make money and the systems. They're two different worlds. And so the first place to start, what I love with this book is realizing you're learning how to build a business. You're not learning how to become the best, whatever the thing is that you do. So I'm not learning how to become the best researcher. I'm learning how to become a business person. Students ask me all the time. I was just on a coaching call earlier, and the client asked me, do you ever get like, do I ever feel some type of way or do I ever get feedback from people who are like professors or in academia? Do I ever get pushback of I shouldn't be doing the work that I'm doing because I'm not a real academic, because I'm not in an institution? And I'm like, no, because it's apples and oranges. They want to be the best researcher, writer, and teacher. I don't. I want to be the best at leading people towards a goal. I want to have a big business. We are in two different races. So even if they did say it didn't count, it wouldn't matter to me because we are in two different worlds. So hope that makes sense. Right. To the technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure, a business is not a business, but a place to go to work. Meaning, because you're showing up as the person, right? Let me take me. If I'm showing up as the person who's like, I really know how to do research, I'm really amazing at it, no one can like out teach me. Right. If I'm more focused on that, I only see my dissertation business as a place where I go to do the work of being a dissertation coach. I don't see the business as a place that I go to grow, to dream, to impact a larger vision. Right. For if the technician didn't know how to do the technical work of the business, he would have to learn how to get it done. He would be forced to learn how to make the business work rather than to do the work himself. Meaning, when you stop seeing yourself as, oh, I'm trying to become the number one fill in the blank. So if I'm trying to become the number one researcher or dissertation coach, when I stop trying to do that, and instead I figure out how to make the business work. How does the business make money? How does the business be responsible with its finances and resources? And how do I build something that's sustainable, long lasting, consistent? When I am in my bag of like just trying to be the best dissertation coach, I'm not thinking about what does the business need. And we need to learn how to make decisions for what the business needs, not what we think we need to be the best at the work that we do. Okay, let's see what else. So then, page 17, the technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure takes the work he loves to do and turns it into a job. The work that was born out of love becomes a chore among a welter of other less familiar and less pleasant chores. Rather than maintaining its specialness, representing the unique skill the technician possesses and upon which he started the business, the work becomes trivialized, something to get through in order to make room for everything else that must be done. First, exhilaration, second, terror, third, exhaustion, and finally, despair. A terrible sense of loss, not only the loss of what was closest to them, their special relationship with their work, but the loss of purpose, the loss of self. So, the best thing that could have ever happened to me while I was starting this business and being coached, I had a different business idea. I thought that I was going to what I'm doing now, but before I really wanted to double down on like healing through trauma and whatnot, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work as a business. Like I knew the technical things, but I didn't know how to translate that into a business. And my coaches didn't know and they didn't want to for a lot of reasons. And so the best thing that happened was the coach that I had at the time saying, put that to the side. You can come back to that when you learn business. Pick something that's going to help you to learn business. So if you are still watching this and you are someone who's interested, of course you are because you hear my voice, but if you are interested in starting a business and you are interested in like turning your passion or something that you do into a business, the first step is to make peace with this is not the place you're going to go to learn how to be an even better technician, but instead you're going to pick something. The reason why you're going to pick something that you do have a passion in or something that you know a lot about is because it's going to make it easier for you to learn the business skills that you need to learn and develop. Right. The best thing that happened to me was that coach saying, do it. She didn't say dissertation, but it led to that. Like, do the dissertation thing because you will know how to run a business because you won't have to be learning how to be a technician and run a business. You know how to do the work. You can free up your mental space to learn how to build a business around it. That is the best thing she ever did for me. It was worth the investment because now, what, 7, 8 years later, I help people build businesses and I am so good at it because I understand the skills that are involved and I know how to teach it. And I build on my work as a technician to help me even be a better business coach and overall coach. Okay, so let's go into chapter number 2, the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Earlier, I talked about that there are 3 parts of us that exist when we go into business, and that the mistake that people make is not realizing that there's 3 parts of us. You have the entrepreneurial, you have the entrepreneur, you have the manager, and you have the technician. Now we've been talking a lot about the technician. The technician is the person that does the work, like so who right who meets with the clients, who reads over their documents, who edits their work. That is me being the technician. The manager is the person who is like, okay, this is the goal. This is where we're going. These are the systems, the templates, the forms, the organization, the order that we need in order to get there. So the manager tells the technician what to do. The manager says, hey, I need you to make 10 Instagram posts. The technician then goes into Canva and makes the 10 Instagram posts. Then you have the entrepreneur, the visionary. The entrepreneur sets the goal. It is the creative, the dreamer, the one that's like, they get paid to think, right? So the entrepreneur is like, I wonder, is there a better way, a faster way that we can help doctoral students finish their dissertations in less time with less angst. There has to be. I believe that there is a world where doctoral students can finish their dissertations and only working 10 hours a week. That took creativity for me to come up with that, because essentially what I'm saying can happen, higher ed says is impossible. Even though they market that you'll finish your dissertation in a year, most institutions, most programs are not prepared for students to be able to do that. So, me being a visionary when I was in my entrepreneurial bag, I was like, yes, it is. If I could do it in 2 months, you could surely do it in 12 months. And you don't have to work around the clock in order to do it. You could do it in 10 hours a week. That was me being a visionary. And so, I can communicate that vision to the manager in me who says, all right, if that's where we're going, how do we help students in the most efficient way, an effective way possible, be able to finish your dissertation in 12 months or less and 10 hours or less a week. So then my manager went to work in creating processes, right? Because the entrepreneur is like, we're going to do it in a group. So then the manager is like, okay, what does the group need? We need a community. We need a place to hold our courses. We need a call schedule. We need a way to tell people about the calls. We need a way to give the people recordings, right? The manager goes into making it happen. They produce the dream, the vision that the entrepreneur has. And once the manager is producing it, it's like, okay, we need this course, or we need a Kajabi, we need somewhere to put the videos, we need a way to communicate with people. Then the manager goes to the technician and says, technician, email the people about the call that's coming up, or the manager would tell the technician, hey, take that call recording and put it over here in Kajabi and tell people about it. Right. So the technician does. Entrepreneur is the visionary, the manager is the order, how do we do it? And the technician is the one who's actually doing it, right? So now that you have that, let's go into this. The problem is that, so I'm on page 19. The problem is that everybody who goes into business is actually three people in one: the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. And the problem is compounded by the fact that while each of these personalities wants to be the boss, none of them wants to have a boss. So, although you are three people in one, you're going to constantly be fighting with yourself, because each of these individuals or entities have different rules. They have different rules that they follow. They have a different thing that they want, and they have a different idea of how the work should get done. So if you're someone like me, mainly it's my entrepreneur and my technician fighting. My manager, I don't know where she at. She be asleep or something. She comes out once in a while. But my entrepreneur and my technician fights constantly for the spotlight. Every person is different. Yours, you may have a really strong manager and a very strong technician, but your entrepreneurial spirit needs some work. Or maybe you're entrepreneurial and manager, and that's a beautiful combination, and you have amazing ideas, but none of the work is getting done. So there's a difference between the three of them. Let me see if there's anything that stands out. Uh yeah, so we just went over what the three different things are. And so I think, oh, I lied to y'all. We're only talking about the first two chapters. Okay. So let me go back and read a few things then. I thought we were doing all three, so I just want to make sure. Okay, so page 23. It's not that we're indecisive or unreliable, it's that each and every one of us is a whole set of different personalities, each with its own interests and a way of doing things. Asking any one of them to defer to any of the others is inviting a battle or even a full scale war. So whenever you are trying to ask your entrepreneur, your manager, or your technician to do something, two of them are going to have a problem with it. One of them are going to be on board with it. But if you think you're going to find a solution where all three of them are on board, you're not. Your business is going to be stagnant. Right. So the entrepreneur's job is to take what seems mundane, silly, small, obsolete, and turn it into a huge dream. You can sit me anywhere. You can take me anywhere. I'm going to have at least 10 business ideas once I leave there. It's just how my brain works. I just take what I see where problems are happening. I'm like, business, 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 business. I have ideas for days. Like, somebody could pay me just to come up with ideas. The entrepreneur lives in the future, never in the past, rarely in the present. He's happiest when left free to construct images of what if and if when. If I could just do this all day, I would. I so much identify. Entrepreneur is probably my first, like if I had to put these in order, it's probably my most prevalent, my first thing. I can think of ideas through and through. Given his need for change, the entrepreneur creates a great deal of havoc around him, which is predictably unsettling for those he enlists in his projects. As a result, he often finds himself rapidly outdistancing the others. The further ahead he is, the greater the effort required to pull his cohorts along. This then becomes the entrepreneurial worldview, a world made up of both an overabundance of opportunities and dragging feet. To the entrepreneur, most people are problems that get in the way of the dream. I feel this. I feel like I could have so much if I had the right people in the right places. I have so many ideas that move so quickly, and I live so far in the future that sometimes, a lot of times, when I look back over the past 8 years of business, the thing that trips me up the most is that I'm too far in the future and I'm not thinking enough about the past and the present. I'm so far in the future. It gets me, I mean, it helps. It helped me to do some of the most impossible things, but it hurts me because I'm like, oh, people, and I'm constantly irritated because I'm like, people just can't do what I need them to do. And I realize I'm just outpacing them very quickly just because of the way my brain works. All right. So then the manager on page 25, the manager personality is pragmatic. Without the manager, there would be no planning, no order, no predictability. If the entrepreneur lives in the future, the manager lives in the past. Where the entrepreneur craves control, the manager craves order. Where the entrepreneur thrives on change, the manager compulsively clings to the status quo. Where the entrepreneur invariably sees the opportunity in events, the manager invariably sees the problems. The manager builds a house and then lives in it forever. The entrepreneur builds a house and the instant it's done begins planning the next one. The manager creates neat, orderly rows of things. The entrepreneur creates the things the manager puts in rows. The manager is the one who runs after the entrepreneur to clean up the mess. Without the entrepreneur, there would be no mess to clean up. Without the manager, there could be no business, no society. Without the entrepreneur, there would be no innovation. It is the tension between the entrepreneur's vision and the manager's pragmatism that creates the synthesis for which all great works are born. We need both of these roles. Most commonly, I hear this referred to as the visionary and the integrator. If you ever read Rocket Fuel, then you know what I'm talking about. And maybe that needs to be our next book. But every great team, every great duo, every great business, every great team has a person who sees the vision, and then they have a person who does the execution. They have the head coach and the assistant coach, right? You have the director and the assistant director. The assistant is the one who gets the thing going. The main person is the one that's been the visionary. You need both of them. You need both of them. You cannot have one without the other. And you may think that you see people out here doing things on their own. No, in order to build something large scale, you need both of these roles. Can a person be both? Yeah, I mean, we are both, but you need these two to move things forward. All right. So then the third one, the technician. The technician is the doer. If you want it done right, do it yourself. Is the technician's credo. The technician lives in the present. As long as the technician is working, he is happy, but only on one thing at a time. He knows that two things can't get done simultaneously. Only a fool would try. So he works steadily and is happiest when he is in control of the workflow. As a result, the technician mistrusts those he works for because they are always trying to get more work done than is either possible or necessary. Put another way, while the entrepreneur dreams, the manager frets, and the technician ruminates. Those are the shadow sides of them. We need all three. We need the vision, we need the order, and we need the person who does, but they get into it, right? Okay, let's finish up. So the work, I'm on page 33. So the work of an entrepreneur is to wonder. I continue to imagine and to dream, to see with as much of herself as she can muster the possibilities that waft about in midair someplace there above her head and within her heart. not in the present, but in the future. That's the work the entrepreneurial personality does at the outset of her business and at each and every stage along the way. I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. Just as every innovator must, just as every composer must, just as every artist or every craftsperson or every physicist must, just as every baker of pies must. I call it future work. I wonder is the true work of the entrepreneurial personality. You have to be a dreamer if you want to have a business. If you want a successful business, you have to be a dreamer. You have to be someone who is willing to say, what if? Could it be possible? But what if I tried? And that is what's holding people back. The number one thing that I see is people not realizing that they're three entities, but to go further, people are afraid to dream. People don't know how to dream. They don't think they have permission to dream, and they are afraid to dream. And that is why business becomes stagnant. That is why people stop making money. That's why business becomes boring. That is why people burn out. That is why people have a whole host of problems in their business because of their inability to imagine a future that is not like their present or past moments. If you can tap into dreaming, if you can build a practice around dreaming, it will make all the difference for you. So that is going to do it for today's book club. Okay. I'm going to come back next Monday and do the next, I think it's 3 chapters because it goes into each one of these. Don't hold me to it, but I will be back next Monday. Um, and we'll go into that. But let me know your takeaways from today's conversation, and I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.